Choma, what do you recommend to us as Ndigbo? Where do we go from here? Here now, and from Igbo integration movement, which is the courtesy of why you are here. And when say that we react, we don't respond. How do we start responding to this? You know, can you help the way forward as Ndigbo? Where do we start from? How do we start healing?
So I have a few things. First, we need to separate our identity. And we have to determine what that identity is, because now we have to renegotiate it amongst ourselves from our strategy or the lack thereof, right? Emotions are not going to replace
realities.
It's not facts. It's not going to replace right? And then I think it's also time for us to do the audit. And remember the one if we do a project, we have to do a retrospective. Game here walk on again, what were the blockers? Those things the men or walk on. A thorough and not an Igbo problem, is a Nigerian problem, because Nigerians are data averse. They don't like data, they don't like information. They just like the information that pleases their ears.
Yes.
So if we can separate what we identify as, whether as a group or whether as an LPG or whether as a people, from the strategy and asking ourselves, this emotion I is so here or what, and then we need to also go back to valuing education. We got to a point where Ndinamaro were platformed. The people who had the loudest voices were platformed. The people who told us what we wanted to hear was platformed. We now live in a time where facts no longer matter to people.
Yes.
And facts should matter to us.
Yes.
Because we need to go to that point of having thinkers, the intelligentsia of people being able to converse. Munagi can never agree on certain things, but it's in that disagreement that can come to an agreement of a shared truth. We must, as citizens and intellectuals, you know, we have to go back to public education again. Because when somebody is saying to you that, yes, don't go for city at home because that tells you people who have deviated from education. It also means holding our politicians accountable. So, for example, you don't hold them accountable after they have won, even when they are good, because they're all going to represent us in some sort of way. Because why are we doing all of these things? Is because before we can build a unified regional political bloc, because the end goal is for us to build a unified regional political bloc that is going to have clear demands. That because for us to go to the negotiating table with Nigeria on any level, we have a unified regional political bloc that talks about what the Igbo agenda, Igbo grievances are. Today, Igbo, so now how to succeed for Nigeria? What is the grievance of seaports?
Yes.
Okay, if Port Harcourt and One and Ibeto seaports are included in the Biafra one, seaports or is Nigeria. So a unified regional bloc would then be policy makers, intelligent people, because we need to change our thought process around these grievances. But if we don't do that, every day somebody will have Biafra, we must leave Nigeria. It's not working. But a lot of the things we consider to be regional marginalization are actually marginalization that come from the system, the systemic gap. So, for example, you are not more if you're poor person, so you're not more poor than somebody in Kogi State. The real marginalization in Nigeria is against the poor, because Nigeria is the poor country. So if we are articulating what our clear demands are going to be, or our regional grievances are going to be, I think can actually start our level. Maybe in the Southwest, governors have been able to do.
Yes.
The average Igbo person today cannot tell you what our Igbo agenda is.
Yes.
The fact that Igbo marginalization boils down to seaports and international airports tells us that we are not separating identity from strategy, and we are using just points as our talking points. And those points do not turn into leverage. They turn into points that just make us more disgruntled, and it makes us destroy ourselves in the process. So we must get to that point where we do the audit. We are doing a lot of that fact gathering right now because we want to document it for very sake and for history's sake. Then they desecrated the land by Igbo. We know what happened when things fall apart, and culturally in our tradition where Igbo a cleanse that happens.
Yes.
Yes, you must redo that because people must witness that thing happening for them to know that otherwise, every grievance is going to be turned into a reason for Biafra succession. And every time it happens, it takes us back, right? And then we have to also engage with the system. But you're not going to be talking about Biafra and also talking about Igbo presidents. Those don't stand.
Choose one struggle.
And contradicting themselves. So in order to engage with the system aggressively, our talking points cannot be Biafra succession. And we cannot be using Biafra succession when we actually mean true federalism. I'm one of those people who I think that, decentralizing and making the states, because America is like a United States, right? All the states have their own resource control and they run themselves, basically.
Yes.
That's similar to what we had with true federalism between 1960 and 1966. Right? But in this case, it might not work with regional anymore because now you have to make all those other smaller tribes regions as well. And Nigeria can't handle that. So make all the states be autonomous and handle their own stuff. Now, let's say that's our talking point. You see how Biafra cannot be the talking point and we're talking about federalism as well?
Yes.
Those things contradict. So it is important to shape and separate and introduce ourselves to ourselves so we can have these honest conversations. That's sorry. Sorry. Then admit because until the people who bring this destruction and desecration admit that they have a danger, they will always feel like they are justified. People don't think about all those people that's kind of galvanized, all those people like that galvanized, all those people being galvanized. Because by the time you have eaten ransom, you are no longer operating at the level of humanity that the rest of us are.
You're not, yes.
So what happens to those people and what happens to Ndigbo? I get those people burial, like, a befitting burial. Everybody's going sorry. Because the land, on that. The law has taken its taken its course and there's nothing we can do about that. But the land itself, the retribution that must come from that, we're not going to be able to escape it. Especially the people who now know better, because if you got the evidence and you're still doubting, you're doubting because you think that's your belief in an ideology or a belief in a person more important than anyone and our identity as an Igbo people. So I think that's where we should be going, what should be done realistically. And economics and stuff, like our economic strength has been eroded in the past couple of years. Most average Igbo people do not know that one denani anaponono. Ego ni no rilendi. Open money now by just dying them. Keep the money that people have donated to the Biafra cause since 1999. Actually, now, politicians are in it for it. Sikotaya. We're not talking about any Igbo marginalization now.
Yes.
Right? So those are the things that I think need to happen at the ground level before we can now go to the step of getting our nation, getting our region back.
Dalorin, I've taken much of your time. Lastly, I know that you're very passionate about politics as well. even Igbo politics. Lastly, can you say something about the recent ADC coalition and our brother Peter Obi's presidential ambition? I saw you made a post about it. Can you briefly talk to us about ADC coalition, Peter Obi presidential ambition? What do you think? What's your opinion?
I think it's a very serious coalition. It's a great thing that Obi has now at least informed that he's formally entering the arena again in 2027. That's a good thing, but it leaves a lot of questions, because for this coalition now, what we have been seeing hasn't been it hasn't been encouraging. In fact, it looks very, very disorganized, because on the very top, we have people who have sworn that, oh, and they are not going to vice anybody. And the repercussions of that is, right now, all of you see the Obis, you see the Arufai, you see the Amechis, and you see the Atakubaka. At the very top, all of those supporters that support this group, a lot of the things in there, I believe, it contradicts each other. If politicians have not even taken the time to sort of even explain, all we saw was, Arufai and Obi are now best friends and they're holding hands. And this is one of my issues with Nigerian politicians as a whole, because they look at their support base as just people to use during elections, who are not worthy of information, explanation. So I mean, P2B is going to have what a challenge this 2027, because 2023 is gone. You now have an incumbent who has more entrenched power. So, Ashwaju is all that not needed there. And now he has more entrenched power to be able to do so. We also see it in terms of the defections that have been happening at the state level. We know that for machinery to the state governors meaning APC means something, right? It means that the things are on the wall, and we know what that is going to do, because we know that second terms are really what affirms administrations the first term. So 2027 is going to be a really, really hard race. It is unfortunate that my issue with Obi was that when he should have stood firm, he became a pacifist. Obi was the person who made Masob obsolete on the chat in 2006. So I wonder why he's doing this pandering to IPOB members and claiming that he doesn't understand why, their leader was kept. One of the mistakes he made, and it's going to affect his, bid. But I also know that beyond that, that's just a small thing. But beyond that, Obi was not able to hold Labour Party. People will say control. In America, political parties are the machinery. They are the machinery that guide you.
The next adjourned date is on the 25th. Thank you. This is the 5th client that has called me for land dispute. If you want to buy a land that is devoid of land dispute, go and buy from Pine Leaf Estate and Properties Limited for your peace of mind. For those of you that will not listen, that is why I am here to attend to you. Keep bringing the cases. I'm here.